Minister, what measures are you taking to address the severe shortage of childcare provision and early education provision? And if you make a statement on the matter, please.
Thanks very much, Deputy. And ensuring high quality early learning in childcare is accessible and affordable is a key priority for me. And there are a number of funding programmes available through my department that seeks to improve capacity. And the new core funding scheme that we've just been discussing has a range of objectives. And one of those objectives is capacity growth. And though the scheme is only in place since last September, analysis shows that there's already been significant growth in capacity, with capacity growth for some cohorts where we were particularly short, so baby rooms and toddler rooms in particular, and also in areas in parts of the country where there had been significant amounts of pressure. And to meet the cost of this capacity growth, the original amount projected for year one of core funding was €207 million. We were able to grow that to €259 million for the first year, and for the second year, kicking off in September of this year, I again in this year's budget was able to secure increase in investment. An additional €28 million will go into core funding in year two. And one of the things that will do is it allows for an estimated 3% growth in capacity between year two and year one. So core funding is one mechanism to grow capacity. Second mechanism is capital funding, and is investment in giving services money to expand or indeed to build new services. And we have 70 million for capital investment secured under the National Development Plan, and the majority of this funding has been earmarked to improve capacity, and the applications for the capacity grant will open later this year to be claimed in 2024. So as well as those two funding provisions, just two things I'd suggest. We're also obviously looking to support other forms of childcare, and particularly childminders, and we're doing a piece of work at the moment now so childminders can be appropriately regulated, and that the parents who use childminders can therefore benefit from the National Childcare Scheme, and therefore kind of equalising between centre-based childcare and childminders. And finally then, engagement between my department and the Department of Housing in terms of the 2021 planning guidelines, in terms of the design and the delivery of early learning and care centres when significant new housing estates are being built.
I'm going to talk about my own county of Cavan, but I'm sure it's reflective of what's happening elsewhere. I mean, Cavan Childcare Committee, as well as a number of providers, have reported a crisis with the provision of childcare, particularly for children aged under 2 years. And many of the baby rooms are closing because the ratio is 3 children to 1 childcare professional. And I suppose maybe providers are taking the decision that they would be better off having a larger number of children, of older children, with maybe just 1 childcare provider. They've also highlighted the lack of capital funding being provided to provide new facilities. They feel it's not in place. Now, I welcome you've said there's 70 million is coming on stream, because they said they just have noticed a lack of capital funding that is needed. And I suppose there's a need as well for the community provision of childcare services. Cavan Town, for example, has no community childcare service. It has lots of private, and again insufficient even with the private there. There's one small community facility coming on stream, but it's going to be quite small. Another provider has told me she's a waiting list of 188 children, and 21 of them are under 1 year of age, and she's not going to be able to cope. So parents are bringing the childcare committee in tears because they can't return to work off maternity leave because there's no childcare provision for them, and they can't afford to take extra unpaid leave to accommodate it.
Thanks, Deputy. And we very strong take-up of core funding in both Cavan and Monaghan. It's 98% of services in Monaghan, 97% in Cavan, some of the best in the country. We do have, there's definitely capacity constraints in both of those counties, though we do have vacancies in both. I think it's about an 8% vacancy rate in Monaghan and a 12% vacancy rate in Cavan, but it's still, particularly in certain areas, like, as you said, in toddler rooms or baby rooms, there are pressures there. When we designed core funding, we designed it in such a way to reward those services who have baby rooms more, because we recognise, because of those lower ratios, and I think we all agree they're appropriate, there's a greater cost to those, so core funding should support those more, and core funding does support baby rooms and toddler rooms more, and services across both Cavan and Monaghan are able to avail of that additional support through core funding if they so choose.
Another service I spoke to, they're based in Blackline, which is way over in West Cavan, and they have a waiting list of roughly 60. And one of the biggest problems there is not space, it's staff. They can't retain staff because many staff are leaving and going on, coming SNAs or so on. But also there's an issue there where there's a lot of Ukrainian families have been moved into that area, and those parents can't go out to work because they can't source childcare provision for their children. So what's going to happen is that they're not being integrated into the community, the children or the adults, but it's a knock-on effect on the local primary school as well, because what's going to happen is the children are going to go in there younger than they should. They're going to go in there at 4, and then with the children coming from Ukraine, many of them won't have English, and it causes more problems for the school. And again, the principal says the school's at capacity. He's had to turn away children. He's looked for extra resources again because, you know, there's Ukrainian families coming in at different stages into the town, and he wants to bring them into the school and include them, and he's finding it very, very difficult. So I'm just wondering what additional resources have been put in place to accommodate Ukrainian families, both in the early childcare provision, and I know it's not your remit, but within education, within primary schools, because one is having a knock-on effect on the other.
Deputy, you're right in terms of we do need increased capacity. The building blocks grant will be very important. That I think in July we hope to put out the call for applications for services to be able to apply for extensions or indeed financial support to build new services, with a view that that would be called down in 2024. And again, there is real pressure on staff within the childcare system at the moment, and one of the best ways we can reduce that is address the issues of pay. That's why it was so important that we got the employment regulation order agreed. It was so important that we got a 73%, 25,000 childcare professionals across the country saw a pay increase, many of them for the first time in September of last year. And it's why it's so important that I want to see a new employment regulation order agreed. Those negotiations have begun in the Joint Labour Committee, and government have put forward €28 million, an extra €28 million in core funding in year 2 to support services reach a new employment regulation order and achieve better pay for staff.